actually deals with when I had my store. And I had a store, I had my own clothing store that's in Slow, San Luis Obispo. And, well, it was about lunchtime. And so I went out, actually locked my front door of my store, but I used to have an arm on the outside that had clothing on it. And this is in Slow. It's a cow town. It's pretty much a college store, not much thievery or anything. So I went out, I locked the door, I left the clothing outside of it. There's a restaurant across the way. Yuki. Yuki was the one of the managers in that, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to run and get a sandwich at the corner store. Um, could just watch the arm, or if somebody comes, and I put me right back, I think, up on the outside of my door." So I go. My store was kind of in the back of a complex, and so I go out, and you have to go around the corner, and then around over to the liquor store that's on like the main street, Higuera. I don't know. It's like the main strip. So I go out and I turn the corner, and right as I turn the corner, there's actually a park bench down the way. And I see this lady, she's kind of hangs out with the homeless. She's in a wheelchair, she's a little bit slow. And I see this other guy sitting on the bench. And I see another guy like uh, pointing at him and kind of arguing. And like, I'm like, great, freaking homeless argument. That's just what I want to hear as I walk by. So I keep walking. As I turn to go make a right to go to the liquor store, all of a sudden I notice the guy. I think he's going like this. I think he's punching him, right? And so I'm like, oh, great. Now they're fighting. Like right out on the street, here they are fighting. I don't want to get involved. So I keep going to go get my sandwich. And all of a sudden I hear this. Oh my God. I can still remember it. It was like the most unhuman, blood curdling scream that I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I'm like, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. And I looked over at him. I'm like, okay, that, I've never heard a human being make that kind of sound. And so I turned, I'm like, all right, I better, I need to go over there now. Like this, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, this is just totally bizarre. So I start walking over. As I start walking over, the guy that I saw arguing with the guy that was on the bench, he starts walking away. And so I come over, and the guy had fallen off the. It wasn't on the bench with the back to it. It was just like a flat bench. Well, he'd fallen off of it into the bushes. And so I come over and I come around the corner, and he's just like getting back up onto the bench. And so I walk up and I'm like, hey. And as I look at him, I see all this blood on his chest. Like his whole chest is just soaked in blood, and it's running down, and he's just getting up. I'm like, what? He goes, he was stabbing me. He was stabbing me. I'm like, what? I thought he was just putting. He goes, no. And he's like, he's got his hand, it's just like full of blood. And I'm like, and so I turn, and the guy is actually, at this point, he's across the street. And there, right on the corner was one of the phone booths. Not the phone booth, the one that comes up and it's kind of like got the thing on it. And he's like standing there and he's kind of looking around it. And so I'm like, what? Wait, I thought you guys were just arguing. Yeah. And so I'm like, so I point at him because he's kind of like standing behind it, kind of like looking over at us. And so I point at him and I turn to the guy and I'm like, that guy right there, right? Because I didn't really look. I mean, I just saw it was kind of a guy with the backpack and all that. And I couldn't tell. And he's like, holding his chest. He's like, yeah, and so I don't know at this point. I'm a kind of person when stuff like that happens. I kind of get involved, or I go towards it instead of away from it. And I figured, the guy's got a knife. He doesn't have a gun, and he was kind of, I don't know, maybe he's drunk or something. He's got a big backpack on, so I'm not feeling like, compared to me at this time, this was like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something like that. I'm kind of agile. I figure, all right, so I take off across the street. The guy. Well, I didn't have with me at the time. So he takes off, and so I go after him, and he, yeah, oh Jay, yeah, you just got here. Good timing. Yeah, so I see him, and so being the kind of person I am, I always, I don't know, I don't know, I don't like people hear stuff and they run away. I'm the kind of person that goes towards it anyway. I don't know. So I go across the street, and the guide went down a little bit, and there was an alleyway that went to the parking lot, and right there was a coffee shop. I don't even know what my thought was, but I remember my first thought was, well, he only has a knife, so I'm pretty sure I can avoid him if he like pulls a knife on me or anything. But I want to know where he was going. But I kind of want to know where he was going. I was at least follow him, so when the cops came or whatever, that I could tell him like where the guy was. And plus, there was a coffee shop there, and I didn't know if the guy was like going to go in there and maybe he hurt somebody else or anything else. So I start following him. I get about, I don't know, 5 feet behind him, and evidently there was another guy that was across the street that saw that the whole thing happened. And he went by me and he hit this guy like a freaking linebacker. I mean, he just full chest right in the back, and the guy goes tumbling head over heels in the parking lot, and finally like gets himself and he turns over and he like gets up, and the guy's like, stay down. And so I'm right there next to him. The guy's trying to get up, and I'm like, kind of like telling him, stay down. The guy starts going, yeah, he deserved it. He deserved it. And we're like, what? Did you like stab that guy? He goes, yeah, yeah. Like 2 weeks ago, he freaking beat me up and robbed me. He deserves it. He deserves it. I hope that motherfucker dies. Blah blah blah. And he keeps trying to get up, and the other guy is like kicking the guy like crazy. And at this time, I noticed that the guy's hand is bleeding. There's like total blood running out of his hand. I guess he cut himself while he was stabbing the guy. And at this point, there's like three other like college kids that come up, and so we're all kind of standing around, and he keeps trying to get up. We're trying to keep down, saying the cops are coming. You got to stay down. Don't get up. And then he's like, I need to go to jail. I have hepatitis C. I deserve to go to jail, and that guy deserves to die. And all of a sudden, at that point, I'm like, because I see he's bleeding, and he's like going like this with his hand, right? And like blood's coming out. And I'm like, so I kind of back up a little bit because I mean, if it gets in your eye or in your mouth or anything, I mean, hepatitis C, that's not anything to mess around with. No, we did. We just kept him down. And then, but the funny thing was, because I said there were three college guys, and actually says that I have hepatitis C, and I turn around, and they were like 30 feet back. They were like, they just like saying they heard that, they were like, like 30 feet away, going, stay down. And so me and the other guy, I mean, we're still on top of him. He keeps trying to get up. He keeps trying to say, why are you guys trying to hold me? And you guys ain't cops. What the fuck you doing? That kind of stuff. And so we're trying to hold him, and it'd been like 5 or 6 minutes, and no sirens yet. Yeah, no sirens yet. And we're kind of looking at each other going, somebody had to have dialed 911. Like somebody, because it was kind of busy. It was in summertime. It was busy. There were people walking by. So finally we start hearing the sirens coming. And we're sitting there and we're keeping this guy down. And he keeps like going, why are you guys doing it? You guys don't, shouldn't hold me down. And all of a sudden, finally a cop car pulls up. And two guys get out. No. There were cell phones around that time. This was like 2003, 2004. Cell phones were around. But anyway, these two cops pull up. And I remember there was a white guy and a black guy. And they both get out of the car. The one guy runs around the back. The other guy jumps out of the passenger. They start running at me. And the first thing I do is turn to him and go, wait, he's bleeding. And he says he has hepatitis C. Wait, they stopped dead. They both turned around and went. The one guy went to the trunk. The other guy went to the front seat, the passenger side. And the one guy came out and he was putting on the surgical gloves. And the other guy that was in the trunk came out with like big, heavy, leather gloves and everything. And so they turn around, they come up, and they get the guy, they handcuff him, uh, and then they turn to me and go, "Thank you so much, thank you." Yeah, because like hepatitis C, any kind of blood, any kind of anything, such sore, anything, and it's yeah. So they were just like, thank you so much, thank you so much." Yeah, because like I said, I saw him running, and I said his hand was bleeding pretty good. So at this time, I'm dealing with that and everything else, and I guess at this point, the uh, the ambulance had come for the man that I left, that I talked to, that was he was stabbing, that had the blood all over him. And at that point, he was coherent. He was talking to me. He was getting back on the bench. And so I was thinking, okay, well, obviously, if he killed the guy's still good. So after all this is done, they put him. I turn around, and at that point, they have him on a stretcher. They have his shirt completely off him, and they're giving him CPR as they're putting him into the back of the ambulance. So evidently, I don't know. I guess that blood curdling scream that I heard was him hitting his heart or something. Because at this point, I thought the guy was. I didn't know how big the knife was, and evidently he threw the knife into the bushes, right, right where I saw him first, right by the cell phone, or not cell phone, the public phone. And so they cordon it off, and at this time there's like freaking 30 cop cars there plus everything else. They're starting to cordon everything off. They're actually going to the bushes. They're trying to find the knife, everything else. And I remember, I left my clothing outside of my store. I locked my door. I said, "Be right back." This has suddenly been like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And so they end up putting the guy into the ambulance. They end up driving it away. And then the sergeant comes over to me and he goes, "Hey, well, did you witness it? Did you see?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I saw it from the argument. I saw the guy. I thought he was punching him, but evidently he was stabbing him. And yeah, I saw the whole thing." He goes, "Are you willing to be a witness?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, why not? Like, if it goes to trial and this guy tries to say he didn't kill him, sure. Yeah, I'm willing to go." And so the other guy, the one that pushed him down, uh, he says, "Yeah, he's willing to go." And then they had the lady that was in the wheelchair that was actually sitting next to the guy that ended up getting killed. And so he's like, "Yeah, well, we need you to come to the station right now. We need to take it down." I'm all, "Well, I have a store. I actually have product outside." So I go running over, and Yuki's out there just getting ready to open. I'm like, "Hey, I got to go. I just witnessed the murder. I helped capture the guy. I need to go to the police station. Can you keep track of, or just watch, my clothing? And if people ask, say, yeah, tell them what's up, and I'll be back." And I mean, it's slowed down. Not many people stole it. So, so I get in, and me and the one guy get in the one cop car, and they take us to the police station. I don't know. I guess they brought one of the vans or something to take the lady that was in the wheelchair. It wasn't a wheelchair. It was actually one of those electrical security ones. So we get there, we get in there, we're waiting. There's only three of us that were witnesses. There were three of us that were willing to be witnesses. And so they end up taking the handicapped, sort of mentally slow lady in first. And evidently, I mean, getting the straight answers from her, getting all the stuff and that, she was in there for about, it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And we're just sitting out side of the interrogation room, whatever you want to call it, waiting. And so for her, blah, blah, blah. And then finally I think took me in second. And, like 10, 15 minutes, I tell my story. Then the other guy goes in, tells the story. And then what they want from him is, since he was like kicking the guy to keep him down, he evidently had some blood on his shoes. So they asked if they could keep his shoe as evidence because there was blood on it. And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So anyway, I end up, you know, thinking I just closed my door. It's going to take me 10 minutes to go to the store, get my sandwich, and come back and reopen my store and go on with my day. And I end up, going down and being interrogated as a witness and yeah, pretty much capturing a murderer because later on I found out. I mean, I didn't know until the next day they had the paper that the guy ended up dying. And there's a rub at the end of this that I'm going to tell you at the end that is just like the worst thing ever. But um, there's a little bit more to it after that, or yeah, until it gets to that point. Anyway, okay, so the guy ended up dying, and since I signed on to be a witness, about every 2 weeks for almost, God, I think it was almost, or every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks for about 3 months after that, I got a call from, I think it was the DA. And she goes, "Oh, yeah, by the way, the defendant's lawyers have postponed the trial." And and then 3 weeks later, yeah, they postponed it. They postponed it. They postponed it. And so I'm like, forever. I, I know, and this happened when I left to just go get lunch. So it's that's why I said like, what? I was just and yeah, but and so anyway, after about I think it was like 3 or 4 months, um, suddenly the phone call stopped, and I was like, what's going on? Like, why aren't they? I'm supposed to be the witness. I'm supposed to be the witness. All this, I'm supposed to be show up for court and go on the stand because I'm willing to do that. I'm not scared to do that. I mean, that'd be cool because I saw the whole thing. I saw it from the get go, and yeah, nothing. All of a sudden, no phone calls, no anything. And all of a sudden, I ran into the guy that was the other witness, the one that came up and pushed the guy over, and they took his shoe and that. And I was like, "What happened? What happened with the trial? Like, what's going on? I haven't had a call in like 2 months of that." And evidently, the murderer, he ended up not even going to trial. He just confessed and said, "Yeah, I did it. I killed the same thing he told us when he was on the ground. Yeah, I hope the fucker dies. I wanted to kill him and this and that." And so, okay, here's the whole thing. Uh, Evidently, what what really went down was because remember the guy when he was down, he was telling us, yeah, he beat the crap out of me 2 weeks ago, and he stole from me. Evidently, it was not the guy he murdered. It was actually that guy's son that robbed him and beat the crap out of him. And I don't know if they look similar or whatever, but he thought the guy that he ended up stabbing and killing was the son. So, I mean, not that murdering anybody is okay, but he actually ended up murdering the father, not the son, who was the person. Yeah, he ended up murdering the wrong guy. After all that, after yeah, everything, it was he was looking to actually murder that guy's son. So he ended up killing the father when he was looking for revenge on his son. So I said that was kind of the rub of the whole thing. Yeah, I know. That's what I said. It was. I don't know. I forget who I learned that through. Yeah, I learned it from somebody. I don't know if it was the other guy that was the witness or who told me that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, think about the son. Think about the son that's like, yeah. I mean, the son I think was homeless too. I mean, they were just homeless people that hung out. But I forget who told. I think it was the guy that was the other witness when I ran him down the street, and he ended up calling them because nobody was calling, and they said, yeah, the guy finally confessed. And I think he was the one that told me that he actually murdered the wrong guy. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. They're both homeless. Everything else. I don't know how you would. I don't know. I think the dad he was darker skinned. I don't know if it's Mexican or whatever. I don't know how you would confuse him. But yeah, evidently it was the dad is not the one that beat the crap out of the guy that killed him, and it was his son. So yeah, that was. So I said it's like I don't know. Like I said, I just went to lunch. I'm just normal day, nothing. But I wasn't even going to deal with it until I heard that incredible. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it, guys. The it had to be the knife going into his heart or something, but it was the most unhuman scream I'd ever heard. That's today's lesson. Yeah. If you're homeless, don't look like your son, evidently, or don't have your son be bitter and angry and beat the crap out of other homeless people because it could come back at you. Yeah, I say, guys, I don't know. I just said I can still hear it. Yeah, I can still hear it in my head. I mean, just because, like I said, at the beginning when I walked by and he started, I thought he was just, first they were arguing and I thought he was just punching him, but I don't know. It was just that scream. That scream made me go, "Whoa, the, what the hell is going on?" I mean, well, yeah. And then when he got up off and I saw all the freaking blood like coming out of his chest, and his hand was all, and he's like, he was stabbing me. He was. But I mean, the guy was coherent when I was there. He was talking to me and he was getting himself up. His lady that was with him. All right, yeah. I'll have another story to tell him Tuesday. I have some capturing felon ones too, but also a bunch of fishing ones. Yeah, but that lady that was there, I mean, she was in a wheelchair. She couldn't do anything. But yeah, it was that was interesting. And then the whole thing was in the paper, and there was a whole big story about it. And of course, like local store owner Scott Kala helped capture a murderer and all this. It was like front page news. I wish I would have saved it. I don't think I have the newspaper, but yeah, that was an interesting lunchtime. I'll tell you that. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it was just yeah. Because I said I wasn't. Homeless people freaking bickering or getting in a fight. I wasn't really gonna rush over there and try and break it up between them. That's cool. They're by themselves. They're not hurting. Well, they're hurting themselves, but yeah. But like I said, it was just. I remember because I stopped dead. Great. Chris is playing fish games. I was listening to the story. He was really concerned. He was really in focus with the story. Yeah, but I just remember I just stopped totally. I mean, completely. I can still remember exactly where I was in the parking lot and how far from the store and everything. When that freaking blood. I don't know. It sounded like a man that was suddenly a woman. It was just so like. It was just. It was scary to hear. It's what it was. It's totally unhuman. But like I said, I mean, he'd already been kind of stabbing him for a while, I guess, because I said when I thought he was when I thought he was punching him, he was actually stabbing him. But all of a sudden, that one freaking sound came out of his mouth, and I was like, all right, this is. I might need to go investigate this, Kojak. Hello, I said I have another one. I said, so yeah, Kojak. It was me, bald guy, and I used to always have a lollipop. Everybody used to call me Kojak. Went to clubs and that. I always had a lollipop. Yeah, Beretta. I have another one. There's another one coming up later that I captured a two-time felon. Yeah, that's another good one. Good times in Slow. It's such a small town. It's a cow town. It's a college town, but I have like, I have that murderer one. I have a two-time felon one. I have one with guns in my club. Yeah. No, I was younger. I would have been more Beretta back then. Now I might have been Matlocked, but back at that time I was what 2002, 2003. You're fishing right now, Bronson. Yeah, no, this wasn't even Salinas. This is like slow Cowtown. Reno 911. Yeah, no, it's just kind of funny because I tell people that I'm like, yeah, I've done a lot of stuff in my life. Like, I captured a murderer once. I captured a two-time felon once. I had like, yeah, and they're like, dude, no, that's not normal. Come on, really? Nobody. I thought everybody did that at one point in their life. It was just my time to catch a murderer. Murder she wrote. Are you saying I'm a little bit feminine, or I'm starting to look like a woman? I don't know. But yeah, that's the fun. That's. I thought that'd be a good story to tell, and obviously it was. Hopefully, and now I have it. Hate Ashbury. Now I have it online, and so I can when, like I said, the good thing about these stories is when I'm like 90, 95, I start losing my mind, or 65. Who knows when it's gonna happen? But I can like I can now rewatch it myself and watch myself telling my own story. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, it hasn't. I mean, hasn't anybody else on here captured a murder or been around a murder or walked by a murder scene? Because I have a couple of stories about that too. Not that I walked. They're not long enough to make a story, but uh, I have some other intermittent ones that are pretty uh, interesting. Things that happen when you're outside a bar at night. I have one of those stories too. I don't know. I don't know if I should save that one for another story night or if I can tell it because I was like 15 years old and it ended up being really weird at the end of it. Something I didn't expect. So that you saw a guy get hit by a car, Chris? Did he get killed or did he just get barely grazed or something? Oh, okay. So it was a good hit, huh? Ouch. Yeah, I said I was 15 years old. And yeah, right now, I can still see the whole thing in my head. Uh, yeah, it was actually a hit and run. With mine, it was an intentional hit. Was he a nice guy? Did he keep to himself? Always friendly? No, I'll just. Oh, the top of his head. Ouch. Yeah, no, I'll just tell mine because I don't know. It's not really long enough. I mean, even that story wasn't. I mean, wasn't long. Usually, the term of stories are pretty intense because of 8 hours and that. But my hit and run was I was coming from the skate park. I was on my bike and I was on the sidewalk. Yeah, exactly. So you don't know what you've eaten in your life, Jay. It might have been another human. So I was going down the street, riding along, and there was two mopeds went by me. So I'm like going along, and all of a sudden, I remember it was like a gremlin. It was like a gold car, kind of around like a gremlin or. Ooh, wow. Yeah, I remember it was like a gremlin or one of those type, but they went by and all of a sudden the car was in the, the slow, it was 2 lane. And all of a sudden the guy just went boom, just swerved over, nailed the guy. And I mean, he was doing like 35 on the moped. His, his moped went and there was a bus post right there. Oh, he survived that, really? Yeah, there was a bus post and he ended up hitting it straight in his belly and it wrapped him around it as he hit it and kind of actually bent it. And then he kind of came forward. And see, here's the weirdest thing because it's like at that time we used to seeing stuff on TV. Yeah, and they're basic. I don't know. But it's really weird because I saw it happen in front of me. I saw it happen real time. And I kept riding for at least like 20 seconds. Like it's like I watched it on TV. Like it's like it wasn't live. Like I'm like, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, that just happened. Like, and so I ride up. The guy's on the ground. His moped is, I don't know, it's a ways away, and his buddy that was ahead of him on the moped came back, and so his buddy's standing there. And yes, this was the time before cell phones because this was like 1980, I think, 1970, 1980. And so his buddy's sitting there, and he's on his moped, and he's standing there, and I'm like, go across the street, tell him to call the cops, tell him to call 911, tell him to. I don't even know if it was 911 back then, but anyway, I'm like, because he's just sitting there standing. His friend is like doubled over. He's just like going, oh, oh. I mean, he's just like moaning like crazy. And so his friend's like, what? I'm like, go across the street. Like, tell it. And so he takes a moped and he starts. And all of a sudden, this truck pulls up. It was like an old Chevy truck. And they pull up and they stop. And I'm like, hey, yeah, this guy. And then they go, yeah, we know. We saw it. We were going the other way. And so they went up to light and they turned around. And so the one guy grabs his moped and throws it in the back of the truck. And then he and at this point, I think I noticed he picks him up and because the guy's laying there and he's like, come on, because the hospital was actually like quarter mile down the way or a half mile down was Pomona Valley Hospital. Actually, the hospital I was born in. But anyway, so he takes him over. He's like, yeah, we'll take him to the hospital. We'll take him to the hospital. And I noticed there's like blood coming out of the guy's mouth. So I mean, obviously he wrapped around the freaking bus pole at like 40 miles an hour, like right. I mean, it doubled him over and he bounced off it. So obviously, so yeah, so they end up sticking him inside like I said, threw his moped in the back, stick him inside, and they take him to the hospital. And so, I leave, I go home, and I had a paper out at the time. So I end up going on my paper out and doing my collections. And there's this one guy there, and I actually tell him the story about what happened. And he's like, "Oh, well, did the cops come? Did you tell them what you saw or anything?" I'm like, "No, they weren't there, but the one guy, he put him in, and so they took him to the hospital. So I'm sure the guy's fine." And so I get done and I go home, and then all of a sudden there's a phone call. And my mom answered it, and she comes to me and goes, "The police are on the phone." And I'm all, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, the police are on the phone. They said they want to talk to you about something." I'm like freaking out. I'm like, "What? What?" And so I get on, and they're like, what'd you see? What kind of car was it? All that. Well, evidently, it was the one guy in my paper out that I told. And he's like, "Oh, were you going to call the cops to tell him?" And I'm like, "No, the guy's probably fine. He went to the hospital. He's going to be." So evidently, he called the cops and told them that I was a witness to a hit and run. And so he gave my number. And so they called me. But I was like 15 years old. My mom's like, "Cops are on the phone. They want to talk to you." And I was like freaking out. I'm like, at first I was like, how'd they know? What did I thought I was in trouble. Like, oh, I didn't call him. I didn't tell him. And yeah, so it ended up coming from one of the guys on my paper route. And yeah, but I was like I said, I was like 14 or 15. But it's kind of weird when you see something happen in real life like that. And I don't know, I just kept riding along on my bike. I mean, I saw the guy get hit. I saw him wrap around the pole, and I'm just riding along, going, wow, that was kind of interesting. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, that just happened. It's like it was like something from a movie in that. Like it didn't even happen right in front of me. It's like my brain like didn't click on it until like 30 seconds later. I was like, oh shit, that guy just got taken off the road. I don't know what it was. I don't know what the guy. I don't know why he took him out. But it's freaking weird. So, anybody been fishing? Now that we're going off on gory horror stories. Everyone's there's like no comments coming out. Everyone's just like, really? This is terrible. All we're hearing about is people dying. It's CCB Death Night.